The architectural design and elements of the Westminster Abbey Chapter House. In England, the chapter houses of the medieval cathedrals were originally rectangular in plan, but the most common design is a polygon with a central pillar to support a vaulted ceiling. Octagonal examples can be seen in Salisbury or Westminster. On the continent of Europe, chapter houses are more rare than in England and are always almost rectangular, making the chapter house of the Westminster Abbey all the more precious. The chapter house was built concurrently with the east parts of the abbey under Henry III between 1245 and 1253. Sir George Gilbert Scott restored the building in 1872. The entrance to the chapter house is approached from the east cloister and includes a double doorway with a large tympanum above. Entry from the cloisters to the room is through a short, gloomy vaulted corridor, which also contains the oldest door in England, which has been dated from 924 to 1030. Entering the room, a blast of multicolored light greets you, as huge stained glass windows rise up to the vaulted ceiling supported by a single slender column in the middle. In the chapter house, there are large four-light quarter-foiled windows. The window style is geometric tracery. Geometric is a term for the early type of bar tracery, which is a French innovation adopted for the east end of the Westminster Abbey. The chapel windows are derived into two lights separated by a slim central mullion with a pointed arch above, filled by a foiled circle. If you turn back to the entrance, you see one of the windows is interrupted halfway, where an empty geometric tracery window was replicated, forming the entrance. In the empty geometric design, sculptures were placed around the perimeter of the point of the arch, while the focal point of the fake window is the large figure of Christ, as it sticks up from the quarter-foil shape that is contained within the circular foil. Inner and outer vestibules lead to the octagonal chapter house, which is of remarkable architectural purity. It is built in a geometrical Gothic style with an octagonal crypt below. It is octagonal in shape with tiered seating for up to 80 monks and an imposing central pillar fanning out to a vaulted ceiling. A pier of 8 shafts carries the vaulted ceiling. To the sides are blind arcading, remains of the 14th century paintings, and numerous stone benches above are inventory large four-light quarter-foiled windows. Around the 13th century in England, chapter houses and architecture in general was evolving, being influenced by other styles of architecture and revolutionary ideas. To grasp the essential of English architecture during this time period, here are two other chapter houses that compare and contrast the chapter house of Westminster Abbey. A similar design to Westminster is the Salisbury chapter house, which is from the Cathedral Church of the Blessed Virgin Mary, or the Salisbury Cathedral, and was completed from 1220 to 1258. It is regarded as one of the leading examples of early English architecture. The chapter house was an octagonal shape, slender pillar, and medieval frieze. An example that contrasts Westminster is the Cathedral and Metropolitical Church of St. Peter in York, or York Minster, which was started in 1338, finished in 1408. The chapter houses of the early decorated period, where geometric patterns were used in the tracery windows. The chapter house is octagonal, but needs no central pillar for support, and the ceiling has an ogee curve. The roof was made of wood, and was instead supported by the buttress walls. The exterior of the chapter house of the Westminster includes flying buttresses added in the 14th century, and a leaded tent lantern roof on an iron frame. The chapter house was originally used in the 13th century by Benedictine monks for daily meetings. It later became a meeting place for the King's Great Council and the Commons, predecessors of Parliament. Wall paintings still remain in many of the arches and depict scenes from the Apocalypse and the Book of Revelation. The Last Judgment, dating from about 1390, is shown on the east wall. Large figures of the Annunciation, the Virgin Mary, and Archangel Gabriel stand inside above the doorway. Around the doorway, small seated figures representing a tree of Jesse.